we're now going to be moving into our opening plenary session, and we will be bringing our panelists on. So I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's session. Great guy, my boss, Alexi Miller. He's the Director of Building Innovation at NBI. He oversees NBI's role in HPWH, amongst many other things. He'll be moderating our opening plenary, and he'll be introducing our panelists. So, Alexi, if you're on, we'll turn it over to you.
Wowzers. Thanks, Joe. I'm really excited for this today. I've been helping oversee Advanced Water Heating Initiative since the inception, and as Joe said, it's been really exciting seeing the increase in momentum. We've been seeing water heaters themselves increase momentum, and across all three of those stools of the initiative, we've been seeing exciting progress. That's advancing technologies, lots more products out there, updated standards and other policies, more consumer demand, and more knowledge out in the marketplace. With all that surge of interest, there's a big question: is the supply chain ready to make this happen? So we want to bring on a couple of different key market actors today, from manufacturers all the way down to distributors on the supply chain and indeed installers. So we've got a panel of key market actors. We've got folks who have been in this mix, in this industry for years and are very active, living and breathing heat pump water heaters, or at least, during their work days, right? So we want to talk a little bit about, as we are growing, how do we make sure actors across the supply chain are coordinated, everyone's prospering, and that as we see this growth coming, as fast as that may be, fast growth is great, but can be really challenging in a business sense. So we want to make sure that is positioned, that we are all positioned for successful and prosperous growth. And we want to talk a little bit about trends in the industry and even headwinds. So we have today a great panel put together. Going down the supply chain, we've got Mattia Mazzieri he's a platform director at the Ariston Group, a large global manufacturer of heat pump water heaters, among other things. We've got Crystal Nispuruk, conservation sales manager at General Pacific here in the Northwest. We've got Jim Eggert, president and owner of US Water Heating Solutions out in Chicago. And we've got Katie Teshima, program manager with Resource Innovations in the program space, joining us as well. So I'm going to start with an opening question, and then feel free to introduce yourself a little bit as we answer that. So first off, it's a Wowzers moment, and I want to ask, what's the most exciting thing you're seeing in the heat pump water heater market right now? Mattia, would you be so kind as to open us up?
Yeah, sure. Quick sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Oh, perfect. And can you see my background okay?
Sure can.
Yeah, it took me a good 5 minutes to set it up. I'm glad it's there. Anyway, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here. It's a real pleasure for me and on behalf of Ariston Group today to be here. Before we go into the question, just a few words about who we are. As you said, Alexi, Ariston is a global manufacturer of residential and commercial appliances around water heaters, but also space heating and cooling. We are present pretty much everywhere with a strong foundation in Europe, where the company started, but then a fast-growing presence also in North America, Middle East, Africa, Asia, Australia, you name it. It's basically everywhere. Every year, just to give a number, we produce over 7 million products globally. And we can confidently say that we are globally one of the top players around heat pump water heaters. There's a strong legacy that is very long, over 2 decades of experience in designing and selling heat pump water heaters. Here in the US, we launched our first line of heat pump water heaters in 2023. And this is clearly building on the long experience. As for me, as you said, I'm platform director at Ariston. I'm responsible for several technologies, and I have a strategic focus on heat pump water heaters. That, by the way, is also the area I'm most passionate about. Now, exciting time, as has been said in the introduction keynote. We see lots of news coming into the market as far as heat pump water heaters concerned. This is also linked to new applications. We see increasing adoption in multi-families, apartments, and also new products that has different technical specification, just to name a few, 120 volt split solution, commercial solutions. So it's really growing now. There's a lot of work around. All the manufacturers are working a lot. New players are coming into place. Established manufacturers are enlarging their portfolio of solutions. What we think is that we need to keep on pushing on ease of operation and installation, because this is key. And I think we will deep dive into that maybe later. And reliability of products and working with contractors. So this is what we see at the moment.
Thank you, Mattia. I'd be interested in a distributor's perspective. Crystal, intro and what do you find most exciting? Oh, you're on mute. You are still muted, Crystal. I'm sorry. Probably a double mute.
All right. Sorry about
There it
that,
is.
everybody. I'm not sure. Is my slide backwards? Because it's backwards on
No,
my side.
great.
No? Okay.
Backgrounds are looking good.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Nispuruk with General Pacific. General Pacific is a regional electric utility-owned distributor based just outside of Portland, Oregon. I manage our conservation division, where we focus on high-efficiency residential electric products with a strong emphasis on heat pump water heaters. I've been in the heat pump water heater world since the early days, back when Air Generate was the first and only mainstream heat pump water heater in the US. The best part of my job is partnering with utilities, manufacturers, contractors, and program implementers to help expand the adoption of heat pump water heaters. Currently, I've been focusing on planned heat pump water heater replacement programs, helping people make the switch before their old water heaters fail. Some of you have even bought a water heater from us from one of these programs. I'm sure you will see today, heat pump water heaters are something that I'm very passionate about. So going on to the question is, what is the most exciting thing we're seeing in the heat pump water heater market right now? Mattia covered a lot of the more manufacturers in the market, new split systems, 120 volts coming to market. So I will talk about what's the most exciting thing I'm seeing in my market, which is a strong presence of energy efficiency programs, particularly for low-income households, where heat pump water heaters are being installed at little to no cost. Plus, we also have large rebates for standard income programs to buy down the heat pump water heater, making it less than a traditional tank.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Jim, you're doing this day in, day out, speccing, installing, and turning wrenches, or at least getting the wrenches turned. Little intro on what you find most exciting in the heat pump water heater market right now.
Yeah, sure. My name is Jim Eggert. I'm president and owner of US Water Heating Solutions. We're an organization that operates primarily out of the Midwest. Our home base is in Chicago, Illinois, actually a suburb, Arlington Heights, where they're going to be building that new Bear Stadium, if any of you know where that is. It's kind of how I use it as a point to know where we are. But we operate in 20 states around Illinois here. Our guys, our technicians are factory trained, authorized, and fully geared up to fix anything water heater and boiler. But specifically where we fit in well with the heat pump side of this is all of our guys are not just, plumbing related. They're trained on all the different fundamentals with electric, with HVAC and plumbing related concepts to understand the whole real world environment of all this equipment being installed. We are plumbing contractors, we are electrical contractors in all of these states. However, our technicians are hybrid technicians. They support this industry well. We're an added value. So, the gentleman on who was presenting before our panel started called it the other group, calling somebody out as other to take care of things. Yeah, we represent manufacturers. We work with them under warranty, but we are that other resource that, I actually it brought me onto that. I never heard anybody call it that way, but we're the people that can come out and figure it out and get to the bottom of it. So, we get involved in so many different avenues of heat pump water heating, and education in regards to teaching, installing contractors, and even homeowners that walk into a retail store and buy one and want to put it in themselves. I mean, this happens all day long. Learning and teaching and making sure people are following, the installation instructions and platforms and how these things are designed to operate and where they're designed to be is a huge, barrier to entry for this, and something that we focus on. And we're able to add a lot of value to that when we get called out to deal with a situation, that we can make changes or things like that to make the product function better. So, we're kind of a different entity. We're only focused on water heaters and boilers. That's what we do. So, and then having the parts to do it, we stock, roughly, I think in our total inventory, we got about 1.6 million in parts inventory that roll over and over every month. We're just moving parts across the Midwest. So, what's exciting to me is I see the manufacturers are paying attention. They are definitely trying to simplify certain things in regards to their product lines to cater to, the nature of the markets. Ream manufacturing, for one, they pay attention to keep the HVAC side of the system isolated with HVAC so that it makes it more plumber friendly, so that they can focus on the plumbing aspect, and hopefully that the HVAC side of it, the compressor, is all a package, one spot that doesn't have to get messed with, refrigeration and things like that. We can focus on being plumbers, putting that stuff in the right way. Other innovations, Bradford White is tapping into certain things with allowing you to possibly get involved with the refrigeration side. That's good for HVAC minded people. But what's happening is all the major manufacturers are paying attention to where success is and where we're growing with this, and they're trying to move towards that and leave the areas where we were not doing so well behind, and focus on what's working, and helping the installers and helping people bring, education to that front is huge. That's, if we can put these products in and achieve the longevity with also the utility and the rebates and the, incentives with all the things that it brings to the table, that's the goal here. And in order to continue to have success, the main thing is longevity. We need a product that is installed right and that works properly. And that's what we're all working towards, So that's what I bring to this. And, I thank you for allowing me to be a part of this today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And sliding on down to the program scale, Katie, if you'd be willing to intro yourself and what do you find most exciting in the heat pump water heater space right now?
Yeah, hi everyone. Happy Heat Pump Water Heater Day. My name is Katie. I'm a program manager at Resource Innovations, and I oversee our residential heat pump water heating and our food service water heating initiatives at CalMTA, and CalMTA serves as California statewide market transformation administrator, implementing a CPUC authorized, a California Public Utilities Commission authorized market transformation approach here in California. And, we're somewhat modeled after the framework established by the Northwest Energy Efficiency Alliance, NEA, that I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with, in the Pacific Northwest. And I think folks hit on a few different things. I mean, and just to reemphasize, all of the new manufacturers entering the heat pump water heater market is really energizing. I think that signals, growth, competition, and innovation that we're seeing in the market. And this expanding product diversity with split systems, able to address mobile and manufactured home markets, expanding product diversity and availability, helping drive down costs. We know that that's really important for heat pump water heaters, and is really top of mind, number one barrier that a lot of folks are seeing for adoption. And we think this is creating, healthy pressure on, existing manufacturers to innovate and scale. And really, we're, thinking how this, all kind of develop support and tailwinds for the upcoming 2029 federal standards. So I think overall this wave of market activity shows real momentum for heat pump water heaters, moving towards a more competitive and accessible market. So I think that's something we're seeing on the program end as well, and then just programs coming in to kind of help fill that gap.
Thank you. How about, so that's the most exciting things we're seeing, you know, from manufacturers paying attention to where the success is, to programs coming in and filling those gaps, and some of the other topics mentioned. What about the challenges? What are the biggest challenges that you're dealing with related to heat pump water heaters, and how can we overcome that? Mattia, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. It's a tough question. I think there are a few things we can discuss. I start from contractor confidence. So, I mean, I think you said during the introduction, we start from the manufacturer, go all the way down to contractors. The mindset we try to keep at Ariston, we start from contractors, we go all the way down to manufacturers. Because it's crucial. I mean, we like to work with guys like James and understand where are the areas in which they need support. And it's particularly important with heat pump water heaters because the installation is key. Be comfortable with the technology is key. And if we do not win these challenges, then it's more complicated to speed up the adoption. Also because currently affordability and cost efficiency are challenging too for different reasons. I know there is and we follow a complex situation in terms of rebates, incentives you can get, but it's sometimes it's local, sometimes it's more broad. The thing is they are not always stable, and so we cannot always rely on those. And on the other hand, despite the market is growing a lot, the overall volumes that does not yet allow for a full cost optimization, leveraging economy of scale. So we see that the more the adoption will grow, the more we will be able to improve cost, and probably we will stabilize incentives, and at that point we will have a much more stable situation. But I mean, this remains a challenge. And then I think it's also important that we keep on working in terms of associations for being aligned on technical stuff. There are some requirements that we see sometimes as moving targets, like demand response, time of use. I mean, manufacturer invested a lot in developing products, and it's important for us to pay back that investment. And of course, we are available to keep on investing in adding new features, but we need to be mindful that the product are there, and the more we install, the more we will have also a business case that will support additional improvements. I just close with one last refrigerants. This is another important topic. We recently seen that HRI is starting a new program to test new refrigerants that will be applied in the next decade. This is very much appreciated because it's going in the direction of clarity on what we need on the products, and I mean, again, it's very important.
Thank you. I like how you turned that on its head, you know, from manufacturer to starting with the contractor. So maybe we can just jump to Jim as a contractor for your thoughts on the biggest challenges and what might help with that.
Yeah. I mean, for me in my world, I have a lot of issues, supply chain, getting parts for the units quickly. I mean, we order 30 days in advance, trying to keep up with, you know, our guys all over the Midwest. I mean, that's kind of how our model works. We're trying to keep it in front of it 30 days out from need. So, I mean, I'm overstocked, and by 30 days, I'm empty. So we're trying to keep up with that. Even, you know, big projects and things like that, there's lead times. You know, if you want a big order of equipment for builders and things like that, you got to get those orders in because, you know, it takes time to move this stuff and build it. You know, in the retail world, normally, if you're lucky, some of the hardware stores or the retail, like Home Depots, Menards and stuff, they may have one unit in-house or a couple here and there, but they get used quickly and waiting on things. So I think stocking is something that is going to get better, hopefully, over time. You know, from my perspective, plumbers and mechanical contractors in general, they love to sell equipment. That's where all the cheddar is. Okay, I'll tell you right now. So a heat pump water heater is a more expensive install. It just is. And on their end of it, with all the incentives that can be offered back to the homeowner, contractor still gets paid. So it's a good opportunity for a contractor to increase, you know, revenue for themselves, you know, offering a $4,000 to $6,000 installation of this product. There's more margin in it. The education behind it and, you know, teaching these people how to put these things in right sometimes is very important that's overlooked. I'm lucky. I was a union electrician for 10 years before I ever got back into water heating and all that. I have an amazing background, which is pretty intense, but I was built for this. So not all the people know what I know to do what I do, and when we approach a house and somebody's looking to, really get into the electrification and upgrade with utilities and stuff and all the different functions in the home, we're looking at it all. I mean, I've put services on homes, and done their water heating, rolled into a generator, rolled into other things, and it just snowballs, So there's a lot of opportunity for contractors that are interested in this, and it is a way to become niche in this world as a contractor and set yourself apart, because a lot of the contractors don't want this. They're just, doing the normal things they do. However, this is a huge opportunity for contractors, and I think the ones that figure that out explode. They grow. There's a lot of that in California. There's guys that focus on this primarily, and they're out of this world with this. I mean, their business model is great. There's other people across the United States as well capitalizing on it. I think if more contractors realize the opportunity there, they could really take it to the next level, and that would be good for all. So just my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. That's an exciting note of optimism. You mentioned, being 30 days out, and then suddenly you need more parts, right? And that's a supply chain. So I want to go to Crystal for your thoughts on the biggest challenges.
Thanks, Alexi. Being from the Pacific Northwest, I think that we have solved the stocking challenges. We have a lot of stock at most every distributor, at every retailer. So I feel like we're a little ahead of the game on that portion of it. But the challenges that we continue to see is reliability, installation complexity, contractor perception, product suitability. These were marketed as, drop in, same as a standard electric, just with a heat pump on top. And that really gave a lot of misconceptions in the market. And contractors thought once they heard that they don't have to troubleshoot anything on the water heater, and that's not actually true. There's a lot of things that can still come up on a heat pump water heater that can be fixed in the field, and we find that a lot of contractors don't want to work on them, even if it's an element or even if it's a sensor. There are more bells and whistles. There are more things that could come up as an installation challenge, but it's not a warranty. The unit doesn't not work. It just needs some fixing. And we're really trying to explain to contractors that they need to work on them if an error code comes up. So I think we just need better contractor education and support. We really need to lay out the differences between a standard electric and a heat pump water heater, and not just say it needs air or it has condensate. What does that mean exactly? They're not always getting trained. Any plumber can come buy a heat pump water heater for me, right? And I can try to tell them, hey, you should know these differences, or hey, you should read the manual, but they don't usually. And then when they have the issue come up and then they call and I'm like, oh, well, your condensate line is tangled, or your condensate line isn't going anywhere, or that error code means this, or it's too close against the wall, or there's no clearance at the top. And so the minute something goes wrong with them, they call and say it's a warranty, come swap it and fix it. And it's actually more expensive to swap it than it is to fix it if there's not actually a failure with the unit. So again, I just think we need clear installation instructions, maybe even field training when they do call in. It'd be great if the manufacturers could send out a technician to show them. Hands-on training is the best. We try, but we still have those challenges. Typically, if a heat pump water heater fails upon installation, and James, correct me if I'm wrong, the water heater is likely not broken. Something else is, it's usually an installation error. And it's really hard to tell a contractor that when they're frustrated and in the field and tried to maybe fix it on their own, or called and got approval to swap it anyway. And then you're like, wait, what's really wrong with this water heater? What sensor is that? But they don't want to switch out the parts because it's expensive and it's timely. And then James is like, we don't have any. So it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. And so I think those are some of the biggest challenges. And then also just back to reliability, there has been some higher than ideal failure rates, sometimes 2 to 3 years after the product has been installed. And it just is frustrating to contractors. And so we just need to work through those barriers.
Thank you. Well, some of those, actually, all three of you have so far mentioned things that are in the program space and that Katie probably gets into on the regular. So Katie, what do you think about some of the challenges you're seeing and potential?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these challenges, we're seeing that in just that adoption isn't happening at the pace that we'd expect, despite the huge investment that manufacturers, that states are making in this market. And at least and I'm coming from though CalMT is focused on California, we are looking at the whole market, and from a market transformation approach, finding ways to find leverage points and opportunities for impact. So still have that whole market perspective. And I think despite the tons of great activity going around, with heat pump waters in this state, in California, there's over 60 programs. I think our research suggests that while this activity is very much an indication that heat pump water heaters are such a valuable technology opportunity, this also may be causing some challenges in creating, fragmented and complicated pathway for customers, for installers to really kind of gain that foothold in the market, and for customers to really find that easy pathway to getting a heat pump water heater into their homes. And so, from a market transformation point of view, again, we're looking across the market to find and fix gaps that traditional programs can't, going kind of a step beyond incentives. And I think that there's really, all of the program activity, again, can kind of create just a complicated pathway. And so I think market transformation is really what CalMTA is trying to do in California, is really help connect and align existing efforts. So we're working together and instead of silos, and leveraging what's already happening to make it easier for the market to grow on its own over time. And so I think just that perspective and that approach is really an opportunity for California to, again, align existing programs and to figure out how we can move faster together in a more collaborative way, and again, to leverage all of the work that's going on. And so I think the challenge of so many programs and so many incentives and the consistency there can be met with solutions around better collaboration, more just sharing of ideas to figure out what are the gaps, what's not being done. And so that's kind of the approach that CalMT is taking, what we see as opportunities to kind of overcome that specific challenge that hasn't been kind of touched on by others.
Yeah, thank you. So we're in an interesting time in kind of like that old curse, right? May you live in interesting times, right? To some extent, we're in an interesting time. And there's a lot of growth going on, but we also have some market uncertainties, potential political headwinds. I'm wondering what you think, from your point of view, each of you, what we need to do in terms of risk mitigation so that we can keep advancing toward full market transformation, and we can have confidence that we can set up those manufacturing lines, fully stock them. We're going to ship those units, that we can keep that stock rolling, every 30 days, we know we're going to ship it out, or work on those projects, that these programs are going to be, fully subscribed, whatever that may mean in your place. What do you think is most important? Just kind of one topic on risk mitigation. Jim, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, the most important thing is upfront due diligence, where this product's going. That's it. We can solve 97% of the problems by just paying strict attention to where we're going to put this unit. Does it fit the box? Does it fit the criteria? And if it does, green light, go. If it doesn't, we got to find out how to make it fit and do it the right way with mechanical means. And if we can cross those bridges, we're done. We got this. But we keep putting these in and, failure points and not paying attention to all that, then we're going to keep having the hurdles, and have to work through those. And, these units are like, if you think of them like a racehorse, for example. When is the racehorse happiest? When it's running as fast as it can in the middle of the race, right? That's its happy point. These units are like Ferraris. They're high-end, awesome pieces of equipment, and they're designed to perform. So if we put them in the position to perform, they're going to do that, you know, and that's what we got to do.
Mattia, what do you think? What's
It's
the
it's an interesting excuse me. It's an interesting question. As manufacturers, obviously, we monitor what's happening on the political scene. We monitor the incentive programs, as we said, but we cannot really influence those. We can stay on top of it and be informed. But what we can really do is to keep on improving the cost efficiency of the products and the reliability. I think it's very important. And the point that Crystal made before, I think it's something that is very clear for us internally at Ariston, because what we try to do is to basically bring to the US market the state of the art of the experience the company has done over the last 2 decades, developing products for multiple markets. So today we have a product, actually we just launched a new generation of the product that is both side and top connected as featured like the dual anode. There is one magnesium standard anode and there is one power anode that will keep the product safe for the entire life. We brought over advanced function like the iMemory. So, I mean, we are really doing a lot in order to have products that are reliable. So customer will gain confidence on those and working diligently to reduce cost so that even though incentives or the political scene will go in a different direction, we can try to be competitive.
Thank you. Crystal, what do you think about risk mitigation from your point of view?
Yeah, I feel like on the political standpoint, I don't have much control over how any of that is going, but we have a lot of manufacturers and programs working on policy and addressing that. So I think they need to continue on their path, but I think the rest of us, the programs, the distributors, the installers, and even the manufacturers, we just need to forge ahead. We just need to keep going, keep educating, keep getting better installers, more cost-effective product, better user experience. Whether it happens in 2029 or not, we're moving forward. And so I think that we just have to keep going and keep giving, keep the momentum up, get them installed, get people comfortable, because it's happening, even if it doesn't happen by 2029, or even if it does happen in 2029, are we ready? So it's like, we just need to, I feel like we just need to put all of our eggs in that basket and just keep moving forward. And that's what I feel like we're doing in the Pacific Northwest. And as funding changes and things are uncertainty, like they're finding grants and money elsewhere, and you know, we're finding a way forward. And I think we just have to keep the message as positive as possible for the things that are within our control. And we have a lot of power even without support on the other side.
Forge ahead. I like it, as Joe put in the chat. Good motto. Katie, what is California's forging ahead? That's for sure.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And CalMT most definitely is. You know, I think as a market transformation program, we need to be careful about not creating additional barriers, and you know, letting perfection be the enemy of good. So, you know, we're really trying to stay focused on the big picture. California's heat pump and decarbonization goals are long-term, and we know that heat pump water heaters are central to achieving them. So I think that really aligning on shared goals is a crucial way to kind of keep your eye on the ball despite political headwinds. And again, as Crystal said, keep building momentum through consistent, high quality work, and by elevating creative solutions across the market. Again, like keeping that innovation spark alive through programs, contractors, manufacturers up and down the supply chain. And I think, you know, also just giving each other some grace. This is really hard work. And, you know, I think continued collaboration, commitment to shared vision, you know, goals, beliefs, in a more resilient future is what will help carry the market through uncertainty.
Thank you. We've got about 9 minutes left. So I'm going to ask actually 2 questions of each of you, but briefly. So we'll keep the last couple minutes for the very last one. I want folks to flag something you're particularly proud of that your organization has done to accelerate heat pump water heaters. And shake the order up a little. Crystal, why don't you start?
Yeah, this is my favorite part. So I'm most proud of our retrofit programs. We've created an online marketplace with free home delivery and instant utility rebates at point of purchase, making it easy for customers to order and do a planned replacement. And these programs, again, I focus more on planned replacements than I do on new construction or emergency replacements. I think new con's going to happen all on its own. I think emergency replacements are obviously a great avenue that we should be going after, but we're just not there yet. Again, 13 years working on this. An emergency replacement is still very hard to get accomplished, but I think in order to have successful programs, we talk about heat pump water heaters all the time in the industry, with utilities, in programs. I really think we're missing the homeowner, the purchaser, the person who's supposed to buy it. So if you want Katie to buy a heat pump water heater, you should ask Katie to buy a heat pump water heater. And you should tell Katie why to buy a heat pump water heater. And you should promote to Katie a heat pump water heater over and over again. Contractors, sorry, Jim, maybe not all are salespeople. Some plumbers are just plumbers and they just want to fix the problem and get out. So we're not all salespeople. And so what we need to do is get the word out to the homeowner to purchase these heat pump water heaters. And so I feel like that's what our online marketplace does. We have a lot of success. We run a number of utility programs where the utility will advertise the heat pump water heater and the customers will go to the marketplace, purchase a water heater and get it delivered to their house. They can either do DIY, they could hire a professional installation. We partner with contractors. And I feel like those programs are extremely successful and very exciting because we are, promoting planned replacements. And so that is the work I'm most proud of.
It worked for me. That's how I got my heat pump water heater chugging away in my basement, and the one for my mother-in-law, she calls it her spaceship.
Thanks, Alexi.
Delivered to the house. Jim, your flag there. What are you most proud of?
We just got two things. One is the support we deliver to the heat pump industry nationwide. Basically, our guys are out in front of these all the time, representing all the major manufacturers. We see it all, and we're able to provide a lot of feedback that they're able to use and help us everywhere in this market. So it's valuable what we're able to deliver back because our guys are well versed in the product. Second thing that we were able to accomplish this year, we got brought into a project in Chicago with NBI and Intellihot to do it was a commercial installation where we installed 4 basically tankless heat pumps on all heat pump efficiency, meaning there was no electric resistance in these units. It was full heat pump backed by a dual fuel gas appliance. So it was supposedly the first installation of its kind nationwide. I didn't check that, but just been told that, where we were able to utilize the heat pump system and run the system, but also have a secondary backup on gas utility if we ever needed it. We have never needed it, but it's there in standby. And so far, this situation has been running for a couple of months now, flawlessly. So it was great, great people, great partners, great team, and it delivered an unbelievable experience.
I'm really excited about that project. It's been one of my favorites. Really cool way to cut down the installation costs and make the project actually pencil and proceed and still get those dramatic savings. Thanks.
Yeah, we were heavily involved in that process of getting those dollars and cents right to make it go. I mean, the amount of money saved. I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars because of what we were able to do.
Yeah, it made it go. Mattia, what are you most proud of in this space?
I want to mention a couple of things. First one being the decision of the company to invest in the US market and develop a complete range of heat pump water heaters specifically for the US market. Today we have a range that goes from 40 gallon all the way up to 80 gallon with different features. And I mean, this was a bold decision, even in times when maybe the payback was not super. But to be ready, to have the capacity, today we have the production capacity, we have the infrastructure to support the adoption. And second last thing is the work we are doing every day through our sales force, to our technical team to support contractors in understanding the technology and solving issues, and I mean, trying to push more and more those products.
And at remarkable scale too. Okay, last question of our session here. Katie, what are you most proud of on the work you've done to accelerate this market transformation?
Yeah, so CalMTA, we are still, in our infancy as a market transformation actor in California, but we're really hoping to help lay the pathways. And I think first, just the fact that we're here is an indication of how important heat pump water heaters are to California, and working with our advisory board to gain approval to develop a market level solution for heat pump water heaters in California. And so back in August, CalMT hosted a market acceleration summit where, we were engaging over 40 market actors, and we really met with support and openness to collaborate. And I think this really is, where we confirmed that this is a busy and active program landscape. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, a lot of great work being done, but there is still a lot of work to be done. And so CalMT, really utilizing that summit to understand how we can collectively accelerate heat pump water heaters in California. So, we had a really great 1.5 day kind of design thinking sessions where we explored market barriers and impacts to market transformation for heat pump water heaters. We brainstormed on market activities, what's being done, what could be improved, what are out of the box ideas. And also, kind of landed with identifying potential innovation pathways. So the team kind of collectively developed 6 concepts, and 2 of which CalMTA is exploring as part of its potential market transformation initiative. So we're really kind of excited to take those and run with them over the next, 6 months or so as we get into our market transformation initiative planning. And excited to again share that back with the public and with folks in the market through our advisory board meetings that are open to the public.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Great info from that. All right, that wraps us up on our opening plenary. I want to say thanks very much to all of you market transformers. Appreciate you joining us today and sharing your insights. And with that, thanks all. Joe, we'll pass it back to you.